For nearly a century, the United States has controlled the heartbeat of global finance, the mighty US dollar. Every oil deal, every international loan, every trade route bows to its green power. But somewhere across the globe, a coalition of rising nations is preparing a financial revolution, one that could shake America's throne. Their weapon isn't an army, it's a new currency, and their mission is clear: to dethrone the dollar and build a world where Washington no longer calls the shots. This is the story of the greatest economic showdown of our time, USA versus BRICS 2025. Since the end of World War II, the US dollar has been more than just paper and ink. It became the world's reserve currency, the money that almost every country trusts and depends on. Nations hold it in their central banks, companies trade using it, and global commodities, like oil and gold, are priced in dollars. This dominance gives America unmatched power, the ability to sanction enemies, control global transactions, and print wealth that the world still accepts. But this system wasn't built overnight. In 1944, the Bretton Woods Agreement established the US dollar as the backbone of the international financial order. Back then, it was backed by gold. Later, even when the gold standard collapsed, the dollar's status didn't fade, because global trust in American stability was unshakable. For decades, this trust made the dollar a symbol of strength and security. Yet every empire faces its turning point. And in 2025, that turning point might already be here. BRICS, short for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, started as an economic partnership in 2009. But over the years, it has evolved into a geopolitical force, representing over 40% of the world's population and nearly 1/3 of global GDP. These countries share one thing in common: a desire to escape America's financial shadow. In 2025, BRICS isn't just talking about trade deals, they're talking about changing the global financial order itself. The idea is simple but revolutionary: create a new shared currency or payment system that reduces dependence on the US dollar. A system where countries can trade freely without needing American approval or fear of sanctions. For China, it's a chance to strengthen the yuan. For Russia, it's a way to fight back against Western sanctions. For India and Brazil, it's economic independence. And for South Africa, it's a voice in a world dominated by superpowers. Together, they form a bloc powerful enough to challenge Washington's dominance, at least on paper. The world of 2025 looks very different from the 20th century. The US faces record national debt, political division, and growing mistrust from its global partners. After the pandemic, trillions of new dollars flooded the system, triggering inflation and eroding confidence in the greenback's long-term strength. Meanwhile, sanctions on Russia after the Ukraine war pushed many nations to rethink their reliance on the US dollar. If America can freeze billions of foreign reserves with a keystroke, who's really safe? Countries like China and India began exploring bilateral trade in local currencies, and that quiet rebellion started gaining momentum. The BRICS nations saw an opening, a perfect storm of global frustration and opportunity. For them, 2025 isn't about destroying America overnight. It's about building the foundation of an alternative system that weakens US leverage year by year. The buzzword of this movement is de-dollarization. It sounds technical, but it's simple. Countries are slowly reducing their use of the dollar in global trade. Instead of paying for oil in dollars, India might buy from Russia using rupees. China may sign long-term energy deals in yuan. And Brazil could trade with South Africa using a BRICS-based digital currency currently under discussion. Individually, these changes seem small, but together, they chip away at the dollar's dominance. Think of it like cracks in a massive wall. One crack doesn't matter, but hundreds? The structure begins to weaken, and the US knows this. Treasury officials and economists warn that if global demand for the dollar drops sharply, America's borrowing power could collapse. The dollar's dominance allows the US to print money cheaply. Losing that edge would make everything, from defense budgets to domestic spending, far more expensive. In 2024, BRICS officially announced its expansion, adding Saudi Arabia, Iran, Argentina, Egypt, and the UAE. This move sent shockwaves through Western markets. Why? Because these nations control massive energy reserves and trade routes. If oil-rich countries start selling in a BRICS currency instead of the dollar, that could reshape the global energy market completely. The alliance has also been developing a digital currency system, possibly backed by gold or rare earth metals, real assets that give it credibility. The idea is not to instantly replace the dollar, but to create an alternative so strong that other nations might join over time. Economists call it the BRICS Shield, a financial network independent of SWIFT, immune to US sanctions, and built for the digital age. To Washington, that's not just competition, it's a direct challenge to the foundations of American power. Of course, the United States isn't sitting quietly. US policymakers argue that the dollar-ES dominance isn't just about trade, it's about trust. The American financial system is transparent, stable, and deeply liquid. Investors can move trillions through US markets without fear of government seizure, something not guaranteed in China or Russia. American experts also point out that BRICS nations have contradictory interests. China and India are regional rivals. Russia is under heavy sanctions. Brazil's economy depends on Western markets. And South Africa lacks financial muscle. In other words, building a unified BRICS currency might be much harder than announcing one. But even if BRICS never fully replaces the dollar, its rise could still reshape global power dynamics. Because perception matters. The mere idea that the world has options weakens America's monopoly. This war won't be fought with tanks, missiles, or aircraft carriers. It's happening in data servers, trading floors, and central banks. Instead of soldiers, there are economists. Instead of bullets, there are interest rates and sanctions. And the front lines stretch from Washington to Beijing, from Moscow to Riyadh. BRICS nations are developing a new digital payment architecture that operates entirely outside the US financial system. In early 2025, leaked reports revealed that China and Russia had tested a cross-border payment network that connects their central banks without using SWIFT, the global transaction system dominated by the West. At the same time, India and Brazil started pilot programs using local currency settlements for trade. For the first time, massive deals, like oil, gas, and defense, were completed without a single US dollar involved. It's a small step for BRICS, but a giant signal to the world. The monopoly is breaking. The United States, of course, isn't watching silently. The US Treasury has launched an aggressive campaign to protect the dollar's dominance. It's strengthening alliances with Europe, Japan, and even some BRICS-friendly nations to maintain global trust in the American financial system. Behind the scenes, Washington has also been investing in its own central bank digital currency, CBDC project, a digital dollar that could make transactions faster, cheaper, and even more traceable. The goal is to modernize the dollar before BRICS can make its alternative attractive enough. But there's another layer to America's defense: the power of sanctions. 2025 alone, the US imposed new restrictions on Russian banks and Chinese tech firms accused of supporting the BRICS digital network. Critics argue it's a desperate move. Supporters say it's strategic containment. Either way, it shows how real this economic war has become. Yet one thing still keeps the US ahead: global trust. Despite growing resentment toward American influence, investors and nations still believe in the stability, liquidity, and safety of the dollar. Think about it. Would a European corporation or an African government rather hold Chinese yuan or US dollars? The answer for now remains clear. BRICS has power, but it doesn't yet have credibility. China's strict financial controls, Russia's instability, and India's internal politics make investors cautious. That's why the dollar still stands tall, not just as a currency, but as a symbol of reliability. However, even trust can erode with time, and BRICS knows that. In mid-2025, BRICS took its boldest step yet. During the annual summit in Shanghai, member nations announced the creation of a joint commodity-backed digital currency, nicknamed the phoenix. Unlike the dollar, which is supported by faith, the phoenix would be backed by tangible assets, gold, oil, rare earth minerals, and even data reserves. This gave it a psychological edge, a currency tied to real-world value. Saudi Arabia and the UAE immediately showed support, agreeing to price a portion of their oil exports in the new BRICS system. It was the moment the world realized BRICS isn't just talking anymore, it's acting. Western markets reacted sharply. The dollar dipped briefly, stock volatility spiked, and analysts began debating a question no one dared ask before. Is the age of the dollar ending? Across the globe, reactions were mixed. In Washington, officials called it a symbolic stunt. In Beijing and Moscow, it was hailed as the beginning of a multipolar economy. Smaller nations, especially in Africa and Latin America, saw opportunity. Many of them have long felt trapped by the dollar-based system, forced to borrow in a currency they don't control. Now, for the first time, there was an alternative. For the US, the threat isn't immediate collapse. It's slow erosion. If fewer countries use the dollar for trade, demand for US Treasury bonds falls. That means the government will have to pay higher interest rates to borrow money. Over time, that could strain the American economy, weaken its currency value, and reduce its ability to project power abroad. Economists call it the privilege tax, the slow loss of the advantages that come from being the world's reserve currency. And once that privilege is gone, it's almost impossible to rebuild. So who wins this global power face-off? The answer might surprise you. Both sides and neither. BRICS will continue to grow in influence, creating an alternative system for nations tired of Western control. The United States will remain dominant for now, because the world still trusts its economy. But over the next decade, the battlefield won't be about currencies. It'll be about technology, energy, and data. The real question isn't, will the dollar fall? It's what replaces it when it does. Will it be a BRICS-backed Phoenix currency, a US digital dollar, or something entirely new? A global crypto-based system where no nation holds total power? 2025 may be remembered as the year the world's financial order started to split, a moment when economic history turned a new page. Every empire in history has believed its dominance would last forever, until it didn't. The British pound once ruled the world before the dollar replaced it. Now BRICS wants to write the next chapter. Maybe the US will adapt, maybe BRICS will fail. But one thing is certain. The age of unquestioned American financial supremacy is ending, and a new multipolar world is rising from the shadows. This isn't just about money. It's about power, control, and the future of civilization itself. The world is watching, and the next move could change everything. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to hit the like button. It helps us reach more curious minds like you. Subscribe to Nation Face Off and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next big global showdown. Because here we don't just tell stories. We expose the battles shaping our world.